Hello, YouTube. Oh my gosh, it's been a while since I've been online to see all of your beautiful faces and see your comments and everything. I hope everybody's doing well. I tell you what, like, man, I have missed this. It's been a hot minute since I've even done a random live stream. And it's even been, I think, 3 months since I posted a live video. So for all of you folks in the Ray Ray family, thank you for hanging out and hanging in while I've been taking a break. Life's been incredibly busy, and that's certainly a positive. So I want to hear what's been going on in your guys' life, though. The comment section is live and rocking and rolling. So I really want to see what's been going on with all of you guys. I hope everybody is safe and well as we continue to trudge through the pandemic. So you guys know we did 50 days of live streams for that, and that was huge and beneficial for a lot of people. It was absolutely beneficial for me. We had a lot of fantastic guests on while we did that. And one of the first guests that I had on during that 50 days is here to join me again. And I'm excited to have my friend Brian come back on. We all call him Lucky. But he wrote a book. He had Kickstarter back him up. And a whole bunch of people jumped on board. And he's got his book launched. It's coming out next week. You can pre-order now, or you can get it when it comes live. I'll let him talk about that. I'm not an expert in this area. But I'm excited. I'll tell you, I got a copy already, The Way Through a Field of Stars, and I was fortunate. I was part of the Kickstarter group. I was fortunate enough to join that, so I got a signed first copy. That's exciting for me. I've never had one of those in my life, and I got one for my dude Brian. So this is a book I'm never going to get rid of. It's going to stay with me forever as long as the Biggestrayray is alive and in one piece. I'm going to have this book. But and again, I'm not a salesman. I'm not here to sell you a book. I don't want it to come across like that. But if you're so inclined, I want to promote you to do that. And you can even find links in the description of this live stream. You can purchase it through Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And if there's more places than that, I'll let Brian speak to that. But it's really a big deal for me to try to help out my friends. Of course, my mantra is be biggest, be what makes somebody else's day great. And if I can do that, well, you know what? I'm going to. And of course, I've got you guys in the Ray Ray family who I love. You guys just mean the world to me. I'm just a regular dude in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And the fact that I've got a global audience is just incredible. So I love all of you guys. I see a couple of folks here in the comments already popping in. Blaine Fields, hello, Ray. Hope you and the family pets are doing well. Rain in Richmond, Virginia today. So Blaine, thanks for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it. It's been a long time since I've seen your name. I'm glad you're still alive and kicking and staying dry there in Virginia. And Blue Rose plays. Hi, how are you? I hope you're doing well today. So, but I love the comments. I love to see what's going on with y'all. And so before I just sit here and drone on and make myself need to drink more water, still the same massive cup, repping Tulsa Hurricanes, because why not? So I'm going to bring Brian on and let him say hi and talk about what's going on with him and also the book. And we'll kick it off. Brian, what's up, buddy?
Cool. Hey, Ray. How's it going? Great to see you, man.
Oh, fantastic. And dude, I tell you what, bro, I'm never disappointed when I have you on. When we talked a couple of weeks ago about doing this, I'm like, man, I'm so excited to see Lucky because I swear, dude, your smile is so bloody infectious. I'm like, man, you can't be sad around this guy. You just can't.
Thank you, Ray. I really appreciate that. I feel the same way about you. You're just like obviously a ray of sunshine in this world and a ray of joy. So I mean, just sitting here with you, I feel my vibration already going up.
Yeah, well, fantastic, man. I appreciate that. So, I don't want to divulge any of your personal information, but you recently left Oklahoma.
Yeah, and actually, funny enough, Blaine, we are in Richmond now. So we're in Richmond. My wife's family's up here. We're thinking about starting a family next year. So we wanted to be a little closer to her side of the family. So we just relocated up here to Richmond, which is pretty great so far. Hence the beautiful background back there, a lot of trees, right? A lot of rain.
Understand that. Now, Virginia's a beautiful state. I've had the opportunity to go all over, and it's fantastic. You know, once you head west out of the DC area, it's fantastic.
Yeah, we got married in the Blue Ridge Mountains, so it was pretty fun. We had a 3-day event at a camp, and had about 200 people for 3 days and campfires and the whole thing. So it was really, really fun.
Outstanding. So was it a big shift leaving the humid, horribleness of Oklahoma and going east to Virginia?
It was a lot different. There's a lot more trees here and just like different vibe. But I'll tell you what, my heart misses you and all of our other friends out there. You know, we had such a good time together. So
no, absolutely.
It's a little different, but it's good. But we've been so busy with this book launch. It's been haven't had time for any socializing. As you can see, I got a couple bags under my eyes, but you know, that's all right.
Right. You can catch up on sleep later. Yeah.
Exactly. Only 2 more days and then we make it.
Oh, that's fantastic. So while we're on that, today is the 11th, so that your book goes live on the 13th, right?
Yeah. So we picked October 13th for our book launch. And for those of you, hi, everybody. For those of you out there, my book's about the Knights Templar. So a secret code of the Knights Templar on the Camino de Santiago. And the Camino de Santiago is a pilgrimage across the north of Spain that's been around forever. And I've walked it before, and there's all this strange Templar symbology, and I was told there was a code. And anyways, we'll talk more about that later. But the reason why we picked Friday the 13th of October to launch our book is that 713 years ago, to the day, the Knights Templar were actually arrested, and the rest of them disappeared along with all of their treasure. So it's pretty auspicious that we picked this day. And actually, that's why Friday the 13th was considered unlucky, was because it happened Friday the 13th, 1307. So in honor of all the Templars in the past, we're launching our book on the 13th of October, 2020.
There is so much interesting and unique history just surrounding the Knights Templar.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so shady how they were put down in the end. It's like,
Totally. Yeah, it's really interesting. So my book takes place, the With Your Fill takes place 1 year before they were rounded up and arrested or / disappeared. And the lead protagonist of my book is Princess Isabella of France, who's on the pilgrimage, and her father, King Philip, is planning to round up and execute the Templars. And so Isabella is walking the Camino. Actually, can I read the back of the book?
Sure, go for it.
So here it is. See it here? And really quickly, cool thing. I don't know if you can see. Oh, it's kind of whited out. But underneath the shell there, there's this code written across. And after you read the book, you can actually decode what this says, which is pretty cool. And all the codes in the book, we used are ancient Templar codes. And they're based off of a 25-letter alphabet, because the letter J didn't exist until the 1600s. And so kind of fascinating. So we tried to be kind of true in that way. At least one of the coding systems in here, the Templars used very frequently, and you'll learn about that in the book. But I'll go ahead and read the back here. So here we got a nice Templar cross, and there's a secret code of the Templars on the Camino de Santiago. Let me put on my voice. Sent by our father to locate the Knights Templar's greatest treasure and save her kingdom from ruin, Princess Isabella of France finds one of 7 secret doors that unlocks the Templars' mysterious treasure. With this discovery, she expects the mission to be easy. But when she is ambushed on the Camino de Santiago, Isabella is not only forced to seek refuge with the exact company she was sent to steal from, but she's unexpectedly reunited with her one true love, Etienne. It's not long before the past catches up with Isabella and Etienne. Now they must both decide to love again or to remain loyal. Etienne is tied to his vows as a Templar, and Isabella to the will of her father. Isabella's quest leads her to love, friendships, and self-discovery. But if she's not careful, it could also lead to the end of the world. And then I have in little quotations. Even though this novel is a work of fiction, if you visit the Camino de Santiago today, you can still see the symbols and ruins that inspired the secret Templar code, as well as the towns, cathedrals, and castles from the story. So everything you read about in here, you can see on the Camino today if you know where to look.
That is fantastic.
Yeah,
I love that.
So it's pretty epic. I mean, like I don't know. I love it.
No, there's nothing wrong with that at all, man. And so Princess Isabella was just a horrible person.
Well,
her dad wasn't. I don't know. What I've seen about her in history is just like
She's a fascinating person, right? So this year happens 1 year before the Templars run up, and as she's going across Spain, her father and the Pope are planning to round up and execute the Templars, which happened in real life. So this is 1 year before that, and she's on the Camino for some secret mission. And in France, they're planning to round up the Templars. And yeah, she is fascinating. So after this time period, she marries. I don't want to give it away, but it's history. She marries an English king or prince at the time, but later on she comes back and she leaves England, goes back to Paris, and comes back and actually takes over the throne of England, which is pretty epic, and puts her son on it. So it's like, she's amazing. The She-Wolf of France was her nickname.
Right.
So she's like super strong heroine, which is cool.
Right. I want to say, like, I don't know. I hope I didn't sound crash or harsh. So I'm not trying to take away from the book at all, but just some of the stuff that she did was like, dude.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And some of the stuff she does in this book, you're like, dude. So I tried to stay kind of true to your character in some way.
True to the character. Very nice.
So she's fascinating.
Not a thing wrong with that. So tell me, what was your favorite part about the book? And I know, again, we're not trying to do any giveaways, but is there like one spot where it's like, man, this was just like the most epic piece of the story?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the story, it works on so many different levels because the Camino de Santiago works on you in so many different levels. You know, it's an adventure. It's a, you find love and loss there. You get humbled. You discover so much about yourself, and there's also spiritual adventure going on. You know, there's like life-threatening things that happen, sometimes, not too often, thank goodness, but so there's a lot of different things. And I think my favorite part of the book is there's a scene that I wrote when I was in Italy. So after I walked the Camino in Spain, I got about 3 months in Italy to go right at a friend's estate in the mountains. So I felt very, very blessed for that. And I would just, take these long walks in the woods, and this whole scene played, in my head, and it's beautiful. And it kind of talks, it's very philosophical in some ways and very spiritual in some ways. And even though there's this great epic adventure, like for me, that's kind of one of the sweetest, most spiritual, like wonderful souls of the book in that particular part. I could read it to you if you want, but it's a cool part.
Right on. Like I said, we don't want to give it away. So like, I'm totally okay with that. It's your book, whatever you want to do. But like I said, I haven't had a chance to read it myself. I just got my copy last week. And we were talking just before the stream started. My day job has been crazy through the roof. My side job has had me insanely busy. And everybody that knows, I've got a business called Dronicle. I fly drones a lot. So I haven't read your book. I'm going to read it. Like I said, it's on my desk. It's right here. I have no excuse not to. Good way to wind down at the end of a long day. About 1:30, 2 in the morning is usually when I start to chill out and think about going to bed.
Yeah.
But I like to read right before I go to sleep, just because it's a total different engagement of the brain instead of staring at any number of screens or a cell phone that we all have. It's nice just to dial it down and dive into something like that.
My hope is that the book will keep you reading, right? So I leave hooks at the end of the chapters that try to hook you on to the next. So there's some hooks in there. So my hope is that you can't put it down, and the next morning you wake up and you're like, why did I stay up all night reading?
So it's better than binge watching Netflix, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So much better for the brain. And this part of this book is actually very educational as well. So in the back we have an appendix. So I don't know if you can see that, but so for certain characters, like Grand Master Arnold of Trio was the 9th Grand Master of the Knights Templar. He was the dude in the prologue which you read, right?
Right.
If we look back, this dude, he was alive. He was alive right before the Holy Land fell. He was from Spain. So, you put the stuff together, the treasure left, the Holy Land. Where would they take it? At that time, a place in Spain called Finisterre was considered the end of the world, So, you kind of put 2 and 2 together with these historical people. But I have their I have like historical references in back, so you can actually learn about the history of these people and the history of this time period and places when you read it. So that's another really great aspect of the book, especially for people that don't like history so much. It's
Right.
really kind of a cool way to get like a snapshot of the history,
Sure.
which is pretty cool.
So I have to know this much, and feel free to not answer,
Mm-hmm.
but the Holy Grail is,
Yeah.
of course, synonymous with the Knights Templar.
Yeah.
Is there any reference to that in the book?
Well, you may be surprised. There's reference to a treasure, right? A secret treasure.
Okay.
And it's the greatest treasure of the Knights Templars. And
I love it.
so, there's a lot of speculations about what the greatest treasure was.
Right.
So there might be some grail, and we'll see what happens. There might be some other stuff, but I have a very different take on it than what you may have read in other things. Now, mind you, I walked over 1,000 miles on the Camino de Santiago and spent 3 years researching with this off and on in different pilgrimages. And so there is stuff on there that you may not find anywhere else. And so it's very kind of interesting how it goes.
Right on.
Yeah.
So I can imagine. So since I've known you, you've talked about the Camino Santiago, right? Did I say that right?
Yeah. Camino de Santiago. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And that's what I've never done anything like that in my life. Because and I think I would enjoy that, but sometimes I get tired walking just to my car.
Right.
So one, kudos to you for pulling something like that off.
Thank
But
you.
it's made me think about, maybe I should look to do something like that in my life. Maybe not one so long. Maybe there's a shorter, like 100-mile thing I could do on a long weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Camino is great. There's no wrong way to do it. A lot of people just do the last 100 kilometers, which takes 3 days. And it still gives you the epic like adventure and journey, and you get to see all the cool castles and other things like that. But I love that you just said that, because my number one purpose for writing this book was to inspire millions of people to go have a life-changing experience on the Camino de Santiago. Like that was my number one purpose for writing it, was to get people like you saying, "Oh, I heard about this weird thing in Spain that may have these symbols, and and I want to check it out."
Yeah,
so
no,
that means I fulfilled like my purpose. It's cool.
right on. It's one of those things that 20 years ago I'd have been like, why would I do that?
Mm-hmm.
I was only 20 years old then, and
Right.
I was kind of a derp, I'll say it. But now that I'm getting a little older, I have a bigger appreciation for life and what's in the world around us. And it's like, I need to go check some of this stuff out.
Totally.
One, it's informative. I love history.
Mm-hmm.
I find that period very intriguing.
So cool.
I find most of the stuff I watch on Netflix lately are documentaries or period pieces, the hi-fi history fiction. They take their liberties for the story.
Right.
But I'm fascinated by it. I completely love it. And it's crazy to see how they did things 500 years ago, and we haven't really changed that much.
Totally.
But there's other stuff that it's like, thank God we don't do that anymore.
Absolutely.
It's like these people were, as bad as we have it now, it is nothing like it was 500 years ago.
That's very true. One of the things I find when you're walking the Camino, right, you only have what you can carry on your back with you. And it's very simple, and you're sweaty and you're dirty, and it kind of makes you realize how little you need when you're doing it, especially when you do it for a long time. And then sometimes for me, I felt a little uncomfortable in big towns where people were dressed up, and like you just have this divide that starts going in you. But it really shows you how little you need in life to get by, and how you're always provided. One of the main themes in the book is the Camino will always provide, not always what you want, but exactly what you need to fulfill your life's purpose. And it's like that, and it kind of makes you reevaluate what's important in life and what you actually need in life. And it's a trip when you do it like that. And
Right.
as far as walking it too, it's wonderful, because about every 5 kilometers there's a coffee shop. So as you're saying, you get tired walking to your car, like you can walk 5 kilometers, take a break, take your shoes off, have a cup of coffee, walk another 5 kilometers, get some pinchos, which are like tapas. Like the food is epic. Like it's really, really good. Tapas everywhere. Logroño especially has it's not only wonderful to eat, but it's beautiful to look at. It's art. they've got like the prosciutto going up like this, and then
Oh my.
balls of Zito like this. And it's just like, oh, it's so good.
Food is my love language.
Yeah, I know. That's why I told you.
It's like, oh, because I love tapas. I love a big thing of paella. And it's just, the Spanish style foods, it just makes my heart happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have like the popo, which is like the octopus. I haven't tried it because I think octopuses are intelligent, so don't want to eat them. But,
right?
But
I understand. Good. I stick to squid. Like I've eaten my fair share of octopi. Yeah. But squid for me is like, But octopus, not to get off on a tangent, but they are incredible creatures, the octopus.
Super, super incredible.
It's like what they can, their problem-solving skills, their innate ability to escape anything, like how they squirm and fit their little bodies into whatever. It's like, how'd y'all do that?
Totally.
Kind of jealous.
I know, it's awesome. I got to check out. I heard there's a documentary called My Octopus Teacher on Netflix, and I heard it was amazing. I haven't watched yet, so disclaimer, no idea. But it might be worth checking out for those who love octopuses out there, or octopi.
Yeah, because no, I've seen that show up, and it's one of those I need to mark it so I don't forget about it again. Yeah, but they're just incredible creatures. Now, as far as the walk, where is it? Coastal Spain? Do you get any oceanic views or anything while you're walking this?
Dude, I love it. So the symbol for the Camino is the scallop shell, right? So on a scallop shell, you have a whole bunch of lines that end in one point, and it's like that with the Camino. So you could even start in Jerusalem and walk all the way to the Camino de Santiago. Like there's all these lines across Europe that all end in one place, which is the Camino de Santiago. And so there's different routes. There's the Portuguese route, which takes about 10 days, which you walk up from Portugal up to Galicia, which is where Santiago is. And that's all beach all the way. Then
nice.
The one in the book is called the French route. And that's the most popular route today. And most people start in the Pyrenees and you walk all the way across, to Spain. And that one is about 500 miles. If you want to do the whole thing. But like I said, you could do it in sections. Like I've done it where I walked the whole thing and it took about a month. And I've done it in 2 sections where I did 15 days at a time. And then one of my favorite parts of the walk, which is actually past Santiago, it takes 2 or 3 days to walk to Finisterre, which was considered the end of the world. So you walk from Santiago to the ocean. And, there used to be a cult to where the sun would die because they thought that's where the sun went to die every day because it's the furthest east you could go in Europe. And that's actually why St. James went to go preach there. So the Apostle of Jesus, St. James, went to preach there. He's Santiago. St. James is Santiago. So he went to preach to the Galatians, right? And so he's out there in Spain, and it was like a super holy place. Anyways, there's a whole story with him, but his body is there in Santiago de Compostela, so you get to pray at the feet of St. James, the Greater. So,
wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
So, another very interesting piece of history.
Yeah, and I'll give you something else too. So the main thing to do back in the day, to forgive your sins, you'd get indulgences, right? So you could buy indulgences, but if you didn't have money to buy them, you had to go do a pilgrimage. Right. So that was one of the reasons why people would walk pilgrimages, was to forgive sins or life-changing experience, whatever. But the Templars were actually, one of their main facets was to protect pilgrims along these pilgrimage routes. That's one of the ways that they started up. And same with the Knights Hospitaller, who later became the Knights of Malta and the Knights of St. James. But the other thing they became was an international banking system. So if you wanted to go onto a pilgrimage, you go to your local Templar commandery, you give them your gold, and they give you something called a credential. And you would take this credential with you as you traveled, and you stop at different Templar commanderies and take out your gold. So they were the first international banking system, which is one of the reasons why they were so rich. You weren't allowed to charge interest because that went against the church, so they charged a rental fee for holding onto your gold. So I love that aspect of it, because a lot of people don't know that. They just think of Templars as like just going, conquering the Holy Land and, you know, fighting all the time. But really a huge aspect of it was protecting pilgrims. A huge aspect of their empire was protecting pilgrims. So.
Right on. So I didn't realize there were so many. Of course, the one that leads from Europe over into Jerusalem, like that's kind of, we all know about that. But I didn't realize that there were so many pilgrimages going to the one spot. So I'm just gaining so much knowledge, again, just in having a conversation with you. And I can only imagine the mind-blowing stuff that we'll find, you know, as we read through this. Like I'm stoked, dude.
I love it.
I'm ready to dive in.
Just like you. And I love that you here, I'll pull the hardcover.
Very nice.
For all my nerds out there, you know, because you have to put this in. We have a giant map of the Camino on the second page. So
very nice.
This is only the part that they walk. So this is the second half of the Camino, which my book takes place on the second half of the Camino. So pretty much from Burgos over.
Very cool. So no, I like that. Now, I haven't looked. Do I have a map like that in this one too?
Yeah, you got
a
map like that.
Oh, I have my own map?
Yeah, you totally have your own map. So as you read through it, you can refer back to that map and see kind of where they're at.
Oh, where in the book is that?
First page or second page?
First page, second page, and
you have one.
Where'd it go? Oh, I think I found it. Yay! Okay.
Awesome. So yeah, so there's a map there, and yeah, that's it.
I have a map.
It's kind of interesting with since you like history. I don't know how many of you in the audience. I hope you guys out there like history too. These cities along the Camino de Santiago, they were very important in the oh my gosh, I can't say it. Reconquista of Spain. So the Iberian Peninsula was taken over by the Moors for a long time, and a lot of the Christians were driven out, and it was Moorish. And so what happened was the reconquest of Spain, I can't say it because my Spanish sucks, started, and then gradually in the north here, they took over the north and also set up these castles along the way and then pushed south. And a big part of this, the Camino de Santiago, was a huge part and a huge trade route, and that went through from connecting all these places. And so it was really huge in that. And kind of another interesting aspect of the book, my lead character, my lead male hero, his name is Etienne, and he's a novice Knights Templar. And, you know, I made a last minute change in here because of just politically what's happening in our times, right? So between the Kickstarter and when I actually sent the book off to the printer, we had it professionally edited, and I had some time to change some things. And I actually made my lead character, Etienne, who's this novice Templar, a person of color, right? Because the Black Lives Matter thing was happening. Sure. And I thought about systemic racism, right? And how it goes all the way back to the Middle Ages.
Oh, sure, sure.
And so, like, you look at, it's really interesting. It's if you look at some pieces of art, there will be, you know, Africans that are just cut out of pictures. Like you'll see the picture in the museum, the actual picture in the museum, and then the picture of it, and they'll just be cut out. And there's other things, you know. So kind of as my shout out to that, it's like, hey, let's go back even further. And so I took the symbol of power, which at the time was the Knights Templar, right? And I made my lead character, you know, a person of color. And it's just kind of my commentary, and it was also a commentary too, because I was in a lot of these Knights Templar groups. And now I know a lot of Knights Templars now, and they're awesome people, like really cool people, and really great, good humans. But some of these groups I was in, it was there was actually a lot of kind of, you know, white supremacy happening in these Templar groups, and I was like, wait a second, that's not, you know, so I kind of, and you're one of the first people that I'm telling this to, so it's like,
that's good stuff.
Got my thoughts about it yet, and so I kind of decided, all right, well, let's do this. Let's make him, you know. So it was a very interesting switch for me to do that, and you know, I hope it lands really well. But it's kind of, I want to reflect on what was going on in our time, and everything. So, and actually, funny enough, just this came up the other day as I've been looking for promotions. I've been looking for those same Knights Templar groups on Facebook, and a lot of them have been taken down. or I
Oh,
couldn't.
wow.
And so it's really interesting to kind of see that happen. So, I mean, like some of them were scary. I mean, they're like, brothers, we're calling you to arms now. It's time. And I was like, whoa, 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 wait a second.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, but that being said, I know a lot of people who are Knights Templars that, go up the York right through Masonry that are, that you can still become a Templar today. And those guys are really sweet and really awesome and just good people. But there was this whole like weird radical side that was developing. And so all those things happening just kind of changed a large part of my book, and wanted to bring some light into that.
Oh, sure. It's one of those things that's, I'm glad you did that. That's super cool. It's using what tools you have to make a positive impact on the world. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
So we all have our own thing that we do, and all of us, if we use our brain a little bit, we can change the face of reality for so many people.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
in a positive way. That you would think in 2020, it's like, how is this even a thing? Have we not moved past this? And sadly, we haven't. I think largely we have. I think the world has gotten much better.
Absolutely.
But we still have a long way to go. But it takes folks like yourself say, hey, you know what? I can do this. I can have a positive impact.
Right.
And you did it. And so kudos. And I hope people catch on to that. And it kind of has that butterfly effect. You know what I mean?
I hope so too. I mean, and it was a really kind of scary thing to do, because here I've 3 years I've had this character in my mind, and then I'm like, no, wait a second, let's change this. This needs to be something talked about. So it was, as a writer, for me, it was a really scary thing to do. I had to rewrite a good portion of the book because of it and change some things, but it turned out so much better because of it.
Wow.
It gave a whole different twist to things.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
And I always had one of my most powerful characters in the book is African, like straight up from Africa, like awesome, beautiful woman. And, so, cause I want to shout out to the feminine as well. So, and funny enough, talking about that, originally ATN was my main character. And then somehow Isabella became my main character in the book. So it was really interesting. It went from this white dude being the main character of the book to a woman being the main character and a person of color being the other main character, guy coming through. So it was really, really interesting.
Hey, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
And then it'll keep people captivated. They'll get some history. And then through your words, we're showing, hey, man, people that are so often unwrongly looked down upon are star of the show.
Yep, exactly.
Right. So that could,
I might get some shade thrown at me for, but we'll see what happens.
That's fine. People have asked me before, and not that I'm huge on YouTube, right? I've got a modest following, and I'm happy with that. But I get people ask like, Ray, how do you measure success? I'm like, in my mind, and this is a goal I set for myself, I won't be satisfied until I can count 10,000 haters. And people are like, why do you want 10,000 haters? I'm like, if I have 10,000 people that hate me, I've got 1 million people that love me.
Oh.
And so you take when you can own the negativity, it's like, I see you, I recognize you, I want this much only to show my actual measure of success. I want to own the negative and not worry about it. So when you get all the haters, Brian, it's like, how many more of us are going to love you for what you're doing?
I hope many, many more.
Right?
And you can add me to one of the 1 million people that love you.
So like, I am far, far from that, but it's like, I'll get there one day. And at that point, the good voice is by far going to drown out the haters, and maybe they can learn from the love that the majority are giving.
It's interesting that you're talking about that. A big part of this book too is like personal development. So they're struggling with all these inner conflicts that are, people go through today. And hopefully they provide some good tools to examine that, and it's going to be, by the time the third book, so this is a series, by the time the third book comes through, you'll read this first book in a completely different way.
I'm sure.
Interesting. Because each one is going to give you more light in different directions. And it's very fascinating.
Awesome. And hey, check this out, Brian.
Yeah, sure thing.
So my friend Bob popped in and said he's having issues with his signal. He's like, I'm curious what this book is about, though. So I'm going to Google it or watch this if it's a video. So, of course, this is a live stream, Bob. The replay will be available short about an hour after we get done here. It takes a while for YouTube to buffer and get everything scored away. But I've got links to the book in the description down below. You can find it and order it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. If there's more spots in that, those are what I was able to find quickly, Brian. There may be some more. If you have links, send them over to me. I'll add those later.
Okay.
So, but for now, you can pre-order, right?
You can pre-order it. And we accidentally made the paperback live on Amazon. I could give a whole lecture on how to publish on Amazon and what not to do. So I made some mistakes along the way, but you can already pre-order the hardcover and the ebook. And we accidentally made the paperback live, and there was nothing I can do. So if you want to get a paperback, you can go ahead and just pick one up right now.
Oh, fantastic! We'll do that.
Tell anybody.
Yeah, and while we're thinking about this, so if you guys out watching want to help Brian out, do us a favor and share this video.
Oh, please.
Let's try to get it out to as many people as possible. Because if nothing else, the Ray family or anybody else that happens to be tuning into this live stream or catching the replay, help somebody out. Sometimes all you got to do is just spread the word. It's cheap, and by cheap I mean free, right? Mm-hmm. So click the share button, get your friends and family engaged, and let's help our friends out. That's what we do, right? Your friend does something, you want to support them any way possible. So I'm going to ask you guys, help me help my friend. So if you like to read, if you like books, absolutely buy a copy for your friend. Totally. And it'll be like, hey, I watched this guy, I watched him on the live stream. I said, Brian helped me out at the beginning of the pandemic. He was one of the first guests that I had on for 50 days of live stream. So he'd helped me try to make the pandemic suck a little less for all of us that were sitting at home.
It was so good. I love that because we were all trapped inside. Nobody was anywhere.
Oh no, it was terrible. But at least we have the power of the internet. We could still have these conversations, and it took the edge off a bit, you know.
Yeah, Ray, you bring up a really great point, and we do really appreciate everybody's support. We are a small business, like author. I mean, a lot of people look at us just as artists, but we're a small business, you know. Like, thank you for supporting small businesses. For those of you that don't know me, before I was a writer, I'm a filmmaker, but I'm also a dancer. So like my main income was traveling the world, teaching and performing dance. I have not had a single gig this year because of the pandemic. So like 90% of my income from that wiped out. But, you know, that gave me time to focus on my book and pivot, which is what you do. You know, so we're small businesses. We need your support. We love your support. And, you know, I'm not publishing through a publisher. I'm self-publishing. So everything we do is like, comes back to us. You know, like you are supporting me and my wife and my family, and we're very grateful for it.
So Lucky just froze up on us here just for a second. So I'm going to give him a chance to see if his internet comes back. I know there's some weather where he's at in Richmond, Virginia. Hopefully that's not completely killing his internet. But just to carry on with that, I'm a huge fan of supporting local, right? Our small business owners are literally the backbone of America. I do anything I can to support local and shop local as much and often as possible. Because why not? Anytime we spend our dollars and cents in a local business, that's going to take care of that family that's in our community, right? And so I'm all about supporting that. And again, especially with somebody I know personally, like my dude Brian. He was right over there. Oh no. And I'm looking now, and he's completely dropped off out of the live stream. So I'll give him a couple of minutes and see if he can come back. Otherwise, I'll look to wrap up the stream today. We've been going on an hour already. It's crazy how much the time flies by when you're engaged in an awesome conversation, and I love that. And he just made it back in, so I'm gonna bring him back on right now. Ryan, you made it back, buddy.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, I switched over to the hotspot on my phone, so hopefully that will work better than Wi-Fi. Yeah, as you said, we are having some weather here.
So that happened. So I stepped on my soapbox for just a minute and went off about supporting local. I'm like, these people, they live in the same communities as us. Why not, use our dollars that we're going to spend anyway on the things that we want. Go support local. There's always a space for the big box stores. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't mind, but I try to diversify where I spend my personal funds and support the families that are busting their tails to make ends meet and be successful.
Absolutely.
That's just me. That's one of my. Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. I can hear you. Yeah, supporting local is so important.
It is. Okay, make sure your name's still up there in case folks are just popping in here at random.
So, would you like me to read a little excerpt from the book?
Yeah. Well, I think that'd be a great way to wrap things up today, Brian.
Sure thing. Would you like to hear? Do you want to hear that favorite part of the book, or should I just do the chapter 1 to begin with, like the first part of chapter 1?
Let's do the first part of chapter. Let's get that hook in early on. Make folks want to just dive right in. So I'm gonna take myself off the screen. I'm gonna let you have the whole thing here for a minute, bro.
Okay, sure thing. Hey everybody. So once again, my book is called The Way Through a Field of Stars, and it's right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just read you an excerpt from chapter 1. So chapter 1, the Ark of San Antone, Spain, 1306. Isabella's hair whipped her in the face as her dapple gray steed tore through the night. She wanted to forget what lay behind, but she needed to know. Isabella glanced over her shoulder. Tristan, the captain of her personal guard, followed behind her on his black stallion. Is that all who's left? He looked like a horseman of the apocalypse, silhouetted by the torchlight from the pursuing army. A chill ran through Isabella's body. She bit her lip and refocused on the Ark of San Antone. Its fortified walls were a beacon of hope in an otherwise dark night. The massive commander of the Knights Templar lay like a slumbering beast. Its time-stained arc jutted into the air, and a fortified gate blocked the passage of the Camino de Santiago, the ancient pilgrimage that led Isabella from the safety of her father's palace to this desolate land. Now, here she was, fleeing murderers into the hands of those she had been taught not to trust. Isabella was glad she had chosen the fastest horse in her father's kingdom for her pilgrimage. Had it not been for his speed, she would be dead like the others. She leaned forward and whispered, "Faster." The steed obeyed directions and thundered ahead. Isabella cursed her father for sending her on this quest, but she wouldn't have wanted him to give the task to anyone else. She was his favorite, the one he trusted. She would deliver the treasure he needed to save their kingdom and make him proud. Besides, it was her only chance at a life of freedom. An arrow whistled past Isabella's head, followed by another. She hoped Tristan was still with her, but she didn't dare look behind. Her horse's hoofs pummeled the ground hard. 3 steps, 5 steps, 10 steps. A deep bass bell rang from the ark, accompanied by others. The sound passed through Isabella's body and bounced off the surrounding hills. The ringing was the sound of salvation, the sound of safety. Isabella's whole body sighed in relief. Following the bells, a large signal fire burst into flames on the highest point of the ark. One by one, all the surrounding hilltops burned brightly. The message had been sent. Help was coming. Isabella was now just 100 yards away from the closed gate. She would not slow her pace, even if they crashed into the stone walls. Death was better than being captured by the Moors. In childhood, she had heard stories of the invaders from the south who had devoured this part of the land. Isabella would make it or die. I'll go ahead and stop there.
Wow. That's fantastic, bro. So that's intense. No, that's good stuff, man. I love it. So I thought I had plans this afternoon. I think I might change those. I'm not trying to brag, but it is a gorgeous day in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Well, I'll tell you what. Take the book to the park and go read it in the park.
Oh, I know, right? It's a perfect day for that. So let's see. Check this out here. JJ's YouTube said, "Hope you don't spoil too much. The book just arrived last week."
Oh, thanks, JJ. We appreciate your support. Thank you.
So, and check this out. Our friend Blaine says, "I'm really enjoying this interview."
Oh, thank
So,
you, Blaine.
oh, that's good stuff, man. So, check this out. You've been recognized, owned by a cat named
Oh,
Cece. So I've watched your channel for a while now, and I thought Brian looked familiar from previous videos. Best of luck with your new book. Good to see you again, Ray. So, of course, good to
oh,
see everybody. I appreciate you stopping by. Owned by a cat named Cece. And check it out, man. You've been seen out here before. How cool is that?
that's awesome. I love
Telling you, man,
that.
the Ray family is the best. So it's a huge group of awesome people. I'm so glad they're all here.
Well,
And I
awesome
want to.
tracks awesome. You know, like
It does. I agree, man. Um, so I wanted to touch on one last thing, Brian, and you can beat me up next time you see me. I will take my beating.
sounds good.
But this inspires me, right?
Mhm.
So you have told me about your challenges with dyslexia, if I'm saying
Yeah,
that right,
yeah,
and the fact that you overcame that to a point where you wrote a novel
yeah.
on your own is just it's mind blowing.
I
And
had a lot of help.
but I love you for that, and I think it's
Thanks,
fantastic, and
brother.
I hope that motivates some folks. It's like we all have challenges. I've opened up on here about my struggles with depression
Hmm.
and whatnot. I started to see a counselor, and I'm not trying to make this about me, but I feel like if we can be vulnerable to a point where we can like, hey man, you're not the only one. Let me tell you about what I've struggled with and how I've overcome. Maybe that can be the first step. Just sometimes we just got to have somebody hold our hand. We take the first step, and it's like this isn't so scary. I can
Yeah,
go on now. And so maybe you writing this book and overcoming what you have can be that handhold and the first step to get somebody on the path to what they're here for. And maybe that's part of your calling, your purpose on this planet. In writing this book, you never know who you're going to help out. It's like if Brian did this, well, hell yeah, I can do that too, man.
I'll
Thank you
tell
for
you.
motivating me.
Ray, you just gave
And
me chills. You just gave me chills. I got to say, and thank you for remembering. Yeah, I struggled with dyslexia and auditory processing disorder in school. I like from third grade until eighth grade. I was in special needs class. I had a third grade spelling level in high school and reading level. And I just dyslexia wasn't really something that was, at the time when I was in there that was diagnosed per se.
right, sure,
And, even to this day, I write letters backwards. I see things backwards. But having that actually became a huge help because it taught me how to ask for help. It taught me I couldn't do everything on my own. It taught me how to be
right,
humble when it came to that. And so, like with this book, I had to ask my wife for help with a lot of things, our editors with a whole bunch of things. Even before we sent it to a professional editor, I sent it out to like 20 friends to edit for me because, well, by God, I see letters backwards. I had no clue how to punctuate things because I never learned that in school because I was in the class learning how to read the cat in the hat or whatever.
all right,
And so this whole book for me has been facing a big fear, and just like stepping out of that and stepping forward. The way I wrote most of the book actually was I dictated into my phone. So as I was walking the Camino, I would talk into my phone, and then later I'd get it typed out or I'd type it out and take the time I needed to get it correct. But like that was the way that I wrote 90% of this book, was sitting there dictating into my phone, because you have to use different tools than what you have. And
sure,
so I really appreciate you remembering that. I mean, a lot of people won't know the struggle that went into parts of this because of that and just the frustration. I don't know about you. If you like, I feel sorry for anybody trying to learn English as a native language, because people say so many different things online, like the comma
oh
goes
yeah,
here, the apostrophe goes here. And then later you learn they're both right because there's actually two styles, like there's Chicago style or APA style, or and then it just is like mind blowing. So it's like, I love all of you who are learning English for the first time. It's a struggle. I get it. Like there's a lot of different things.
oh, there's so many rules that are just weird, and I take for granted sometimes the things that we know or just get accustomed to.
Yeah,
You've met my daughter, little Dawn Dawn. She's 7 and she's
she's
learning how to
great.
read in 3rd grade. Oh, thank you for saying that. She's such a sweet kid. But she's learning to read, and there's all these weird rules, even in like their 1st grade sight
Mhm.
words, like just the word do, do. why in the world does a single O say ooh? And she's like, Daddy, this makes no sense. It's no, duh. And I'm like, I know it should, honey. It's one of those things you just have to know. It makes no sense. And every day with her little 3 and 4 letter words, I've got to explain to her how the rules that she's being taught don't apply to everything she's being taught. And it's like, So, and again, I'm sure that that only expands and expounds on other things and really just speaks to the levity of what you just were passionate about and put forth. And now you have thousands of these printed and available, right? It took a team, but you're the leader of that team. You still saw it through to fruition. And now people can take a part of that and be entertained and taught with your book, The Way Through a Field of Stars. And we lost Brian literally just as I said that. He just dropped off again. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up now. We're still having some technical difficulties on the other side. Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in. I certainly do appreciate y'all being here. If you like this video, if you like this style content, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up on here. If you're not already a member of the Ray Ray family, smash that red subscribe button. I appreciate y'all. But more importantly to me, even if you don't buy this book, I want to encourage everyone to buy this. Share this video with your friends and families. Find the links in the description of this live stream or later the replay to where you can get this book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Just share that link out with your friends. We had a fantastic conversation with Brian Skillen, again, the author of A Way Through a Field of Stars. I appreciate all of your support. I love all of you guys. And remember to always be biggest. Be what makes somebody else's day great. So I'll catch you guys later. Y'all have a fantastic weekend and stay safe.